Let's see, is that a Dr. and Amy in the back there?
You were close.
I couldn't see. Their heads blocking and everything.
Yes, that.
Hi.
Hey guys.
I don't have to tell you that you're a very large role model for me. And
Oh, thank you.
God, okay. And when you were saying that you went to drama college and you got an agent, right off the bat, kind of after 3 years, I think it was.
Yeah.
I was wondering, since you have me, not just me, but I'm sure tons of other people who look up to you, and who strive to accomplish things that you've accomplished. When you were around that age, did you ever have someone like an actor, either whether it was in theater or in film, that you looked up to and kind of kept you going and kind of motivated you that yes, you can do this, yes, this is your dream, and yes, you can do it if you put your heart into it?
Yeah, the question was, did I ever have an actor who sort of influenced me or sort of put his arm around me to encourage me to pursue and sort of doggedly?
Even if he didn't know he was doing it.
Yeah, no. Well, what was interesting, as I said, because I acted as a child actor, I had several of these people, put their arms around me back home in Wales. The gentleman who played my father in the soap opera, his name is Horatio. He's passed on now, and he was the first to put his arm around me, saying, "Listen, try and take this as seriously as you can, and try and enjoy this as much as you can." But there was somebody at drama college came to talk to us, and often when you have previous actors or actors who were successful, who were at RADA, they invite them back to talk to the students. And of course, as a student, you're like, "Well, I don't need to listen to this guy. I'm going to do better than this guy," or whatever. There's that sort of very I don't know, that attitude that you all have there. You think you're going to conquer the world, and then you step out into the real world as an actor, and it's a totally different story. But I remember him saying, "Listen, every single transaction that you have with another human being, let alone another person in the industry, is vitally important, because you never know when that person will remember you for a part. It could be tomorrow, it could be next week, it could be 7 or 8 years down the line." And that has happened to me in my career. I've worked with somebody maybe for a day or two, like on Wild. I must have met, I think I did about 4 or 5 days on that movie. And 7 years later, the producer of that movie called up and said, "I want you to come and play the lead in this movie, The Gathering, with Christina Ricci." So you just never know. So you have to treat everybody, I think, as as equals, and every transaction that you do in every walk of life is an important one, because I don't know, it sort of conditions who you are, and why not affect somebody's life, by being generous or nice, or do you know what I mean? So I think it's every little moment is important, really, and I know sometimes it's hard. Sometimes you don't want to shake everybody's hand or meet everybody, but they said, just be aware, because you just never know, that might come back to haunt you, or might come back to bless you, like it has, for me. So that's one of the lessons that I've learned.
So just a tiny little follow-up. You mentioned Wild again. Did you have any fandom of Stephen before doing that movie with him? Had you watched Jeeves and Wooster?
Oh,
Ben
yeah.
Fry?
No, it was a big thing for me to work with Stephen Fry. He's a legend in the UK, and he's
one of their national treasures.
Yeah. He's one of the brightest men in the universe. He really is. He knows more about Welsh rugby than I do, and I thought I was a very avid Welsh rugby supporter. So he's a really impressive guy. He's an encyclopedic sort of character.
We are starting to run over. That isn't we're not taking any more questions. I want to try to cram as many questions in as we can. Okay, so let's go rapid fire. I'm going to go with another kid back here.
If I could do anything that I did in a movie, what would that be? I'd love to be as proficient a swordsman as Lancelot really was.
Yes. Pretty good moves. Who's your fight master on that?
We had Steve Dent was the sort of the stunt coordinator with the horses, and he does nearly all of those movies in Europe. I'd love to be as proficient a horse rider as I looked in King Arthur. Clearly, I'd love to have all the powers that Mr. Fantastic had. Clearly, I'd love to know how to guide a ship across an ocean just using the stars, as Horatio. Put me behind a wheel of a ship, I don't think I'd be crashing into the harbour. And listen, the dedication of somebody like William Wilberforce, I wish I had, just an ounce of that energy and dedication in my life to achieve the things that he achieved. So,
let's see here at the back of this front section, with the sunglasses on you.
Okay.
Yes, hi. I really enjoyed your recent guest appearance in Castle.
Recent appearance on the Castle, steamy.
I was wondering what that experience was like, and also working with Nathan and Stana.
I've got to say, that was probably the nicest set I've ever been on. This is the set of Castle. I played a character called
Eric Vaughn.
Eric Vaughan. I did a guest spot in Castle about a month ago now. And it's a testament to Nathan and to Stana that it's the loveliest atmosphere that I've ever walked into, because it's really strange walking into an established show as a guest star, because they're all a family and they've been doing it for 4 years. But they welcomed me with open arms. Stan and I had all the scenes together that week, and she was just a delight. And Nathan is a superstar, and he's the loveliest man that you'll ever meet as well. So there's a reason. There's a responsibility that goes with being the leads, I think, in any movie or show, because if you set the standard, if the director and the actor sets the standard, then it just trickles down to everybody else. If the director and the actor are difficult and mean-spirited and horrible, that tends to trickle down, and that's a horrible atmosphere to work in. But Nathan and Stan are just a delight, and it was a beautiful experience.
Do we have anybody over on this side there in the back? Yeah.
Oh, okay. I had no idea you had an accent,
I thought you were the
Do you ever get nervous when you put in the audience, or is it kind of natural?
I tell you what, it's something that the question was, do I get nervous talking in front of an audience? And for many, many years I resisted it because, I don't know, I didn't know who I was then, really. I think there's something slightly schizophrenic about being an actor anyway, you just don't know who you are at any given time. But being yourself in front of somebody, bizarrely, I think you hear this a lot from many actors, is harder than standing in front of an audience singing, or standing in front of an audience as an actor on stage, because you're representing a character, it's not necessarily you. Doing something like this is quite an exposing thing. It's a very vulnerable thing that you're doing, because you're inviting people to get an insight into who you are as well as a person, and it doesn't come naturally to me, but it's becoming easier the more and more of these sort of things that you do.
It's right here in the green.
I was just wondering if there, because after Horatio Hornblower ended, there was some sort of talk about further episodes. I was just wondering, are there going to be any more?
Will there be more Hornblower?
I would love to say there was something official, that the Hornblower would come back, but I remember when there were discussions about making more. It's such an expensive show to make. And not just because how much they have to pay me, but in its day, it was the most expensive show ever made by British television, because of building the ship, sailing the ship, the location work that we had to do, the CGI effects, that we had to put in there. So, and it's all up there on the screen. That's why the show still stands today, I think, because the quality of the craftsmanship and the costumes and everything is all up there on the screen. So I'd love to make more, but they felt that it was too expensive to make more. So it'll one day I've always imagined that I'd have higher profile enough to go to a company and say, listen, let's go do this again. And also A&E at the time sort of got rid of all their sort of drama department. They're now coming back to do dramas again because it was the dawn of reality TV, and reality TV, as we know, is incredibly addictive and very cheap to make. So,
It doesn't require big ships and fancy costumes.
no, exactly.